Okay. Hey everybody, this is Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. And why does it seem so dark in here? Maybe you can see okay. I am going to start a new fiber arts book, and I love making these fabric journals. I totally do. And I use scraps, and this is one of the upcoming fabric packs. They're not listed yet. I have mailed out all orders from the previous Friday Fiber Arts bundle. So this one I'm still packaging up these pieces and getting everything together. I mean, these are made. I want to get them all bundled. So these are fun packs. And this is just a bag of thread and stuff that I have to the side. These are some things that will be in the pack, some threads and a few beads. But the first thing I do if I'm going to make a fiber arts book or a fabric book, I pick some pieces of fabric that are heavy enough to be able to stitch on. And just looking through here, there are a lot of really pretty fabrics. But there are a few that are heavier than others. I like the weight of this one, and I know that we can add to this one easily. And it's got that nice neutral background. And then we have an piece of upholstery fabric. That's a good sample. And so all of these packs will have a nice piece of upholstery fabric. There weren't enough to make all 12 packs the same. But they're all similar in their weight, and then you're going to start putting things on top of them. A lot of fabric samples have this like a serger type stitch around the edge. It's an overlock stitch so that they don't unravel, and I like to cut that off because I like the threads. Now sometimes I might use a piece of fabric that still has that stitching because it can be interesting, but for this I like to cut that off. I don't know if you can hear the music. I think they're working on some tracks for a CD that they're making. So it's just Jason and Glenn in the next room playing, and it's like they're playing the same thing over and over, but I think it's one part they're trying to get just like they want it. Looking at this, I might want, what do I want with this? So let's just do a basic one like I've been working in, because somebody said, do you have a video on how to make these? I don't remember if I do or not. And right now I'm kind of just looking at the size. I think that looks like a good size. So let's go ahead and cut this in half again. This is not a specific measurement, but it's small. It's going to end up being maybe 4 by 6 or something like that. And so that will be one page, and I do not want the page to be this tall. We can actually do this. Oh, for a minute I thought I cut the wrong way. So that could be a couple of pages. And then I'm going to go ahead and do I want to cut some more? And we also have this. It's nice to have some different types of pages in here. So let's just cut here. And let's fold that. And I'm going to cut some of the height off of this one so that they're even. I may cut a little more off of this edge too, because I want them all to be really similar in size. And right off the top of my head, or how should I say it, instinctively, I probably wouldn't grab this fabric for myself, but it's a heavy upholstery fabric, and these are kits to explore creativity and just to make things. So I'm okay with it because I'm going to sew a lot on top of this, and I'm always surprised by how much I actually like something if I just open my mind up and allow myself to work with it without thinking, oh, well, I would never pick that color. Well, it's like the orange, you know, the rusty journal that I made. What was it called? Poetic Rust. I did that because I never ever work with orange, and it ended up being one of my favorites ever. So we have 1, 2, 3. You know, I really wished on the last one that I had an extra page. So let's just do, let's get brave and do 4 pieces of fabric this time. And we need to cut a little off the bottom of here. So let's just go straight across the bottom, and I know we need to cut a little from here because it was kind of long. And I will show you how I make my, yeah, I need to cut some more off. So let me find my, here it is. I keep this little sucrettes. Remember sucrettes? I have this little tin box that I keep my needles in because we have cats, and of course if you have pets, children, even adults, needles just don't need to be floating around. And I am really bad about forgetting that I have needles in my hand, so I try to make it a habit to put it back in here. So you saw me just now lay that down there. I'm going to pick it up again in just a minute. I think we only want 4, even though we've got a couple of extra pages we could use. We might end up making these pockets or something. So I'm going to lay these up here to the side. We've already done what we want to with that. And let me find some sort of thread that I want to use. And maybe we will go with, I don't want the orange right now. Let's use some of this pink, this bright, it's really not, what is that? Like a magenta? So let's cut some of that and get a needle that's big enough. The one I pulled out is kind of small, so let's go to this bigger one. I'm going to put that one back, and I can tell this has got like a little ragged piece on the edge that's keeping it from just being flat. Ay, ay, ay. And I have my little needle threader there. I should just use that. I don't know what my problem is sometimes because I want to do what I want to. Can I get this to work? Oh, wasn't that just so much easier? Okay, so we have, there's several ways you can do this. You can bind it like you're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, or you can go up and down the entire length. I don't make any marks or anything. I just poke right into the center. See, our pages are folded, and so I try to go right in that halfway mark. It can be a little bit tedious, and it can be where the stitching is not exactly straight, because I like for these to feel a little bit primitive. Don't get your finger. So again, I tried to go right in the center, and I'm being careful not to pull this all the way out. But let's turn this again. I just kind of eyeball it as I'm going along, and looking inside there. Let's just try to get right in the center again. It's okay if it's not perfect. So you can see I'm just going just an in and out stitch. And I'm actually going to fold it again to do this. And I think before I push that through, I am going to move it over a tiny bit. I like it to look primitive and handmade, which it's going to do. But not to the point where once we're done with it, we are unhappy and wish that we had made a little more effort. I don't want it to be that primitive. So you could stop here. You could stop here and tie a knot in the top and the bottom. What I usually do though is just go back through. I'm going to put my needle next to that one and see, we can try to get it to where it's coming out sort of where we want it to. And yep, this is primitive because the stitches are not, they're not all the same size, but that's okay. I just want to get this whole thing bound up. So let's go down through there next to that one, and that looks good out here on the first pass. And then now we're done. So I'm going to take the needle off. I don't think I have my beeswax in here. I like to use beeswax sometimes, especially on this thread that has a tendency to, it's multiple strands and it has a tendency to come apart and just be raggedy looking. The beeswax can help with that. So let's tie that in a knot. Let me go ahead and make that second loop and then get my finger there so we can hold it tight. So this string is going to be hanging on the inside. I'm going to cut a little bit of that off. And then, so closing this and looking at it, I do see some areas where I might want to make it just a little bit more even. So I'm going to start trimming a little bit. Right here across the top, and maybe a little bit more off of this white fabric because the scissors didn't go quite straight. And I'm going to take a little bit more off of this piece that's hanging way out. So let me, a disclaimer here, you won't always have to do this. I'm kind of glad it worked out this way though, so that you can see it's okay. It's okay for things not to be perfect, and you might have to straighten something up later. I have made these before, especially smaller ones where I didn't have to trim anything up when I was done. But I like this. I like the point we're at now. It's primitive enough. It's uneven enough. It looks handmade. It's going to unravel somewhat, to which we can add paint, we can add glue, we can add whatever we want to. We can stitch, we can hand stitch, we can go to the sewing machine, we can do whatever. So there's our little fabric book. All these strings pulling off already. You can make it as ragged as you want to. And I usually don't pull on the strings like this because enough of that is going to happen organically as you go through and work in this book. It's one of my favorite things to do on the couch because you can grab up just a small amount of supplies. Go to your fabric scrap bin and just grab a handful of fabrics and don't worry about what you pick up. So let's look at this and see if there's something pretty that I can use on the front of this. I think this is a really pretty fabric. I love that. I really love that unraveling there. And the thing is, do I want to put it all the way around and sew it down? I wonder if this fabric will tear. It does, but it really made that edge ragged, and that's okay. Sometimes it stretches the fabric too. Not every fabric is meant to tear, but we're not going to worry too much about it. And again, I don't know if I want to cover the whole front. You might say, well, why didn't you just go ahead and make that the cover? Well, because I want these pages to be really thick and have some body and feel really rich and textured. So let's cut across here. And there we go. So I think that's really pretty. I do like that. I can cut this down a little bit because I did stretch that out and it's hanging over the edge a little bit. Oops, cut a little bit more off of the string, but that's okay. So if I wanted to put this on the outside, there's a few ways I can do it. I'm going to start with just laying this down flat and finding a needle that I want to use. We don't need a huge one for this, so let's get out just a regular size needle. And I did put a little bit of gold thread in this pack. So I think I want to get some of this gold thread. And I have a tendency to pull way too much thread off because I'm impatient and I don't want to have to thread the needle more than once, but probably best not to try to go around the hole. And I like to double my thread because this is a thin thread and I kind of want it to show up as being gold. So let's make a knot in the end. Hopefully that will hold. And I'm just gonna get this kind of the way I want it. And do a very quick back and forth. I'm not going to pull too hard because I don't want that knot to come all the way through. But I do want, there we go. Okay. Hear Jason singing. I love his voice. Okay, now let's go down this side because we're not going to try to go all the way across. It's bound right through here, and I may actually put some glue under there to make it a little stiffer and maybe to make it a little stiffer, give it some body. So this is just this is a very primitive stitch. I know I've used the word primitive a lot, but that's what it is. It's so basic. You can do fancier stitches. You can do all sorts of things. So I have come to the end of this thread here. And I'm going to just, I was going to be lazy and try to put an easy knot in there, but let's try to do sort of the right thing. Okay, so now let's cut that. I didn't have enough thread on my needle to go all the way up here, but that's okay. That gives us kind of a little pocket, but I don't want that to be a pocket. We know that we have to add some stitching across here There are so many things we can do. And this was tied around the front. I don't know, we will use that for something, but I don't know that I want that on the front. It would be fun to have a little piece of lace or something. And this is where you can start to build up your own stash and get things that you want to keep in your little fiber arts box. And maybe get rid of, clean it out every so often. There is some lace fabric in here. There's also a piece of lace trim. And that's pretty with the black. So I wonder if I just cut a piece and laid it right there. And then if we thread the needle again, I don't know if I want to use gold again. That would be pretty though. And we can also use other colors. That red is kind of bright. There's something about it that I like. What else do I have in here? I also just have some, let's do gold again. Let's just do gold again. That's really what I want to use after thinking about it. So let's, and I guess I'll double it again. Hopefully this will hold. And I'm just going to do another really loose, sort of primitive stitch. Does not have to be perfect. We just want to get this. I made that really too short. I don't know what my problem is. I think I'm just a little bit agitated. Not agitated. I'm a little bit nervous over something that happened today. Something that happened with somebody at work. I'm not agitated at all, and I'm not upset with anybody, so agitated's not the right word. I feel I don't have peace inside my heart right now over something that happened, and I think it's affecting me. So that's what's going on. Having a hard time staying on track with my thoughts. So let's see if we can tie another knot right up here. For now, this is going to be enough to hold this black lace in place. And then let's go ahead and cut that and put that in there and close it. So I don't know how long I've been recording. I may stop now. I still have to stitch this to the back. And from here, I'm going to have this whole stack of fabrics with me that I can cut little pieces out of. I will have my box that I keep with me that has all sorts of things in it. It's got thread, it's got needles, it's got paper, it's got beads, it's got things that I can turn to embellish my fabric books. And sometimes I'll get tired of a piece of fabric. I may be down to the last scraps and I just, if it's not worth using, just toss it out or take it and put it in a bag of stuff to donate. So it can be a box that you keep refreshing and filling up with things. So we've got these pretty red beads. I'm not going to try to do anything with those right now. I did want to show you something that I bought. And I may put some of these in a pack soon. I bought this deck for myself, and I bought an extra deck to use for creating things that I'm going to sell, whether it's packs or journals or whatever. So these are morning mantras. They're positive thoughts to start the day with. Of course, you can use these any time of the day. And I love that they have all these different designs. So this deck was at $5 and below. The deck was $5, which I don't mind paying for because it's got 54 cards in it. That's not much per card. And I love, so this is what they look like on this side. The little frog on the mushroom. I create my own path and walk it with joy. I love that. Positive thoughts. I do enough. I have enough. I am enough. Don't be afraid to be great. I love that. Enjoy where you are now. I am patient and kind. So anyway, you can see they just go on, and I feel like that's one of the reasons that I wanted more pages in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that will allow me to use 14 cards in here. So I think I'm going to stop for now. I don't know how long I've been recording, but I wanted to show you how I start my fabric journals, and we will keep working in this one together because I think it's fun to do things together like that. And I will talk to you really soon. Bye for now.